everybody, Mike Iaconelli back out in the shop with another great video for you today. And in today's shop, I want to talk to you about something that's under talked about. I want to talk to you about a topic for selecting some alternate baits for a technique that everyone knows about. And in today's shop, we're going to be talking about trying some different baits, alternate baits for your drop shot fishing. All right, let's start by talking about the drop shot. If you've been paying attention to the bass fishing world, over the last 20 years, drop shotting has become one of the, if not the premier, finesse technique to catch fish. If you look at a drop shot, pretty simple setup, guys. You know, we have a bait that's tied in line with a length of leader below it, and then our weight. And the beauty of a drop shot, and if you fish this, you already know, the beauty of a drop shot is you're able to keep the bait in place without moving it horizontally, right? Keeping it in place and having that bait just dance above the weight. So, you know, conditions like heavy cover or current, or when your forage is above the bottom, or short grass, or all these conditions where we want to keep the bait in place, but not on the bottom, right? That's natural, right? Most bait forage doesn't just lay on the bottom. They dance above the bottom, you know, from a couple inches to a couple feet. And we can control that with that leader length, right? So drop shotting is a great technique. That weight on the bottom takes a lot of the brunt of the bottom. So if you're fishing around zebra mussels or rocks, right? None of the abrasion is happening here, right? This is safe. All the abuse is here. None of it's happening up here, so it's safe. A lot of benefits to a drop shot. Largemouth, smallmouth, spots, clear water, dirty water, current, drop shot's the deal. But guys, here's the thrust of this video. When you mention drop shot, there's two baits that everybody throws. There's just two baits that everyone, 99% of the dudes drop shotting, throw these two baits, right? A finesse worm, straight tail finesse worm. This is a 4.5-inch bottom hopper by Berkley in a color called Ike's Morning Dawn. Everybody has a Morning Dawn straight tail worm tied on, okay? The other one is you get around clear water, you get around smallmouth or spotted bass, the Berkley Maxcent flatworm. Everybody has that drop shot tied on. And listen, guys, these are phenomenal shapes to catch fish on a drop shot. But in today's age of heavy pressure, heavily pressured fish, forward-facing sonar, bass that are seeing 1 million flatworms and 1 million finesse morning dawn worms. In a day and age where everyone's doing that, there's something to be said about alternate shapes, alternate plastics for your drop shot. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Guys, I'm going to give you 4 of the ones for me that have really sort of shown out. You know, of course, you could put any shape on there, right? From a 10-inch worm to a crawl to a creature. But I want to show you 4 alternate shapes that have had a lot of success for me when I'm drop shot fishing. All right, let's start with the first one that has been a big player for me for largemouth, smallmouth, spots, but especially in situations where you're trying to get a wacky rig presentation deeper, okay? Everyone knows the old soft stick bait rigged wacky style is phenomenal. And most people fish that weightless or with a wacky jig head, right? But that action and that profile and that movement, fish hardly ever see it deep. 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 feet deep, right? They hardly ever see that inchworming action of a soft stick bait. So alternate number 1 on your drop shot is, guys, it's honestly a soft stick bait. This is a Berkley Power Bait General. I'm talking about your 4-inch size, your 5-inch size, even a 6-inch if you get around some big forage or big bass. But the 4-inch and the 5-inch for me have been huge players. Guys, I'm basically going to use the same exact hook that I use when I'm wacky rigging. A Berkley Fusion wacky hook, depending on the size of the bait, right? This is the 5-inch. I really, really like that 1/0 or 2/0 on the 5-inch. And when I'm around situations where the cover's sparse or I'm in open water, I just fish the exposed wacky hook. Guys, I also love the 4-inch, the smaller wacky. Get one out here and I'll show you. And for this style, I'm also going to use a wacky hook on my drop shot, but I'm going to go a little smaller. I'm going to go to a number 1 or number 2 on that 4-inch. And there's even some of these wacky hooks that have these little fiber guards on them. Some are fiber strands, some are wires. When you're fishing this drop shot wacky rig around heavy cover, deep grass, standing timber, you're dragging it out there in brush piles, that's a better hook, right? We don't want an exposed hook. But, you know, guys, on the rigging, on either one of these methods, rigging it in the middle, wacky style, and that drop shot weight acts like a ball and chain. So when it's falling, that wacky rig is activated, and you get that inchworming on the fall, on the drop. Once that weight hits the bottom, guys, this is all I do when I'm fishing the wacky worm on a drop shot. Once that weight hits the bottom, I just shake my rod tip. I just literally shake my rod tip. And when I shake my rod tip, I get that same inchworming effect in place without the bait moving. Very unique. Fish don't see it a lot. So number 1 is a wacky rig, soft stick bait on a drop shot. All right, let's go to number 2. And number 2, you've been hearing a lot more about this lately, especially with the advent, I believe, with the advent of forward-facing sonar. The fish are getting more pressure than they've ever got before. There is something to be said about a flatworm or a 4-inch finesse worm with its lack of action, right? No curl tail, no real movement, just the bait sort of fluidity, right? But drop shotting a swim bait, specifically a smaller finesse swim bait, has become a big trend, guys. This year alone, fishing the Bassmaster Elite Trail, a couple big finishes, and even a win on a swim bait, finesse swim bait that's rigged drop shot style. Not on a jig head, not on a weedless swim bait hook, but on a drop shot. Show you 2 of my favorites, guys. This is the Berkley Power Bait Power Swimmer. We got these 2 sizes are the ones that get play for me on a drop shot. Of course, the 2.8 is the really small size, and the 3.3 is another small size, the little fatter bait, right? And I love, 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 love these swim baits on a drop shot because, like the wacky rig, unlike the flatworm, unlike the finesse worm, dude, on the fall, as that weight is pulling this swim bait down, look at the tab tail, right? Finesse swim baits have that tab tail. On the way down, that tail is shaking the whole time. But here's the magic of this one, guys. On the drag, as you throw that drop shot rig out there and it hits the bottom, instead of leaving it in place and shaking it, now I'm going to pull it. I'm going to drag it and stop. A lot like Carolina rigging, right? Reel my slack in, pull it, drag it, and stop. And unlike the finesse worm and the flatworm, that little tab tail, as you drag it, is activated and looks like a little bait fish or a little minnow swimming, okay? Love the finesse swim bait on a drop shot. Show you the 2 hook styles that I prefer, guys. And here they go. The one is a very traditional drop shot, split shot style hook. This is a drop shot hook by Fusion. I like that number 1 or number 2 when I'm fishing the 2.8 swim bait. And guys, I just nose hook it. I just literally go through the meat of the nose, and now I've got a swim bait that, that gets a lot of action, and that those fish, they just suck it in. It's pretty amazing. But when I go to the 3-3, guys, I change my hook presentation, and I go to a finesse style straight shank hook. Finesse style straight shank hook. A lot of companies making this hook, and the deal with that, that's nice on this 3-3, is I can Texas rig that 3-3 swim bait. Now I can fish it through weeds and brush and heavy cover. Or, and this one's a real sleeper, guys, keep your eye out. If you're looking at the tournament results, don't let them hide this one from you. Threading the 3-3 swim bait on that straight shank finesse hook. On the size on that 3-3, I really prefer the 1/0 or the 2/0, but remember, just a regular gauge or light wire hook. We don't need anything extra heavy here. And when you thread it, it gives you a finesse swim bait, present it on a drop shot. Again, think about it. 0 to 40, 50 feet, no problem. And it puts it in an upright position. And when that fish bites it, it's all hook, right? The body is all hook. So alternate number 2 for the drop shot rig, swim bait, finesse swim bait. All right, guys, we're gonna get to 3 and 4, and now we're getting a little more tricky, a little more obscure. But number 3 is a bait that we've seen rigged for years and years and years, rigged a certain way, and I'm going to show it to you rigged a different way, and that is the good old Ned Rig, the Ned bait, the turd, whatever you want to call it, right? The Ned Rig. And a Ned bait, if you look at it, it's a little 3 to 4 inch stubby plastic. It almost looks like nothing. The one that I love is Max Scent, and this is that a Little General, Berkley Power Bait Max Scent Little General, just a little 3.5, 4 inch bait, right? And guys have rigged this on a Ned head forever. This is a Berkley Fusion Ned head, and you know what it looks like rigged on a Ned head. But there's a big trend right now, guys, for drop shotting this Ned bait. In fact, a buddy of mine is just coming off a major win on a really, really pressured smallmouth fishery where he told me, literally, everybody around him's throwing the flatworm. Everybody's throwing a flatworm. He went in that same area, community type area, with a drop shotted Ned rig and caught 24 pounds. So again, presenting stuff a little different. Wacky rig and finesse swim bait, we talked about action, right? That wacky rig having the inchworm, the swim bait having that tail. But this has got the complete opposite. This has less action than the flatworm. This has less action than the finesse worm. It's honestly a dead bait when you look at it on the drop shot. It's a dead bait. There's not a lot of movement to it. And I think that's the key to a drop shot Ned rig, is the lack of movement, right? So if everybody's out there throwing lures that are fluid and moving and action, and you throw a drop shot where the bait doesn't move, it's something different, right? So a drop shot Ned rig bait, just like that swim bait, the 2 rigging options for me, guys, is the nose hook. And I love to just nose hook that little Ned bait. In situations with sparse cover, perfect. Situations where it's more open water, perfect. And then the other option, and you saw me rig it with the finesse swim bait, and I'm going to do it again, is just on a little straight shank hook. This is a 1/0 straight shank hook. And with this little straight shank, I can rig it thread style, or I can Texas rig it. And I really like this one, guys. So here's a 1/0 straight shank hook, and I'm just literally going to Texas rig this Ned bait. I want to show it to you. Just going to do my normal Texas rig. The hook stays nice and hidden. I just work it through a couple times. So now you've got a Texas rig Ned bait. It can't get caught, and I can throw that in and around the short grass, the sand grass. If you're fishing places like Lake George or Lake Sinclair or whatever, Lake Lanier, they have sand grass. I can fish that right through it. Never get hung up. When I'm drop shotting the Ned rig, the other tip I want to give you is I hardly move it at all. You know, where when I'm fishing a flatworm or a wacky, I'm shaking my rod. When I'm fishing the drop shot swim bait, I'm dragging and pulling. When I'm fishing the drop shot Ned, I tend to throw it out there, let it hit the bottom, and do this. Not move it, guys. I think the lack of action's key. The other thing, real quick, I tend to put a shorter leader on my Ned and get a little closer to the bottom. If you're fishing a place where the forage is real low to the bottom, give this one a try. So gobies, darters, chubs, crawfish, right? Forage that stays lower to the bottom. Just shorten up your drop shot rig, throw it out, and don't move it. Alternate number 3, Ned rig. All right, last but not least, and a lot of my Great Lakes fishermen right now, Erie, Ontario, Lake Michigan, upstate New York, a lot of these guys right now, they're probably going to unsubscribe because I'm going to give away one of their secrets right now. But it's time we talk about this one, guys, and it's a sleeper. And alternate number 4 for a drop shot rig is a tube. A tube! Guys, a tube is a killer on a drop shot. Specifically, when I'm drop shotting these tubes, I'm talking about the smaller sizes, okay? So I love what's considered, a lot of guys call them micro tubes, but these are the 1 to 3 inch tubes, right? This is a 2.5 inch Berkley power tube. So I consider that a micro tube. And then the next size up would be that 3 to 3.5 inch size tube. This is a 3.5 inch Berkley power tube, right? So I like to stay in that smaller tube range when I'm drop shotting a tube. Not to say you can't drop shot a flipping size tube, but it really works great with these two. For hooks, guys, I really prefer that drop shot style hook, okay? So Berkley Fusion drop shot split shot style hook. For the micro tube, number 1 or number 2. For your 3 or 4 inch tubes, your little bit bigger, fatter tubes, 1/0 or 2/0. And I want to show you 2 different rigging methods with this one, guys. One is the one that most of the guys I've seen do, and it's very easy and popular. And it's, once again, just nose hooking that tube. The power tube, like a lot of these tubes, have a little thicker section in the nose, so it gives you a little more meat. But without me even putting it in the water, you can see what this thing does on the bottom, right? This thing's sitting there, and literally the tentacles come alive. So throw it out there. I give it just very little rod twitches, and every time I twitch it, those tentacles activate and come alive. Rigging method number 2 for that tube, and I really like that for this bigger tube. You're going to think I'm crazy, but give it a try. It's rigging the tube backwards. And when I do that on a drop shot, those same tentacles activate, but it gives it a little bit of down motion on the pause. So I'll shake it, I'll pause it, the tube will dip a little bit, I shake it again, it'll rise back up, and those tentacles will activate. The hookup percentage is just as good. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm really trying to dish out some secrets here and give you some alternates to the old standbys on a drop shot, right? The old standbys. Try one of those 4. Try all 4, especially for pressured fish, and you're going to get a lot of bites. Man, I hope you like these videos, guys. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're watching, subscribe. See it flashing down there? Subscribe to the channel. If you're already a subscriber, tell your friends about it. Mike Iaconelli Fishing YouTube. We're here to help you become a better fisherman and catch more fish. Bye. Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli out in the shop. Thanks for watching. And if you like this video, you have to check out that one, and I hope you like them.